So, good morning. And we just follow the 6 groups, group 1, 2, 3 to 6. So right now, if you don't go to the proper group, try to readjust your seat. So go ahead. First of all, stand up and move. And the policy for us, for international students, you should be split into different groups. So one of you should switch. And for female students, same, split into different groups. And for proficiency, same. All right, so group 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry. That one should be 4. Yeah, should be. And of course, you can change. I will change every 3 weeks.
I was not here last week. So in which group should I go?
You can choose one.
Okay.
At least follow the principle. Internationals cannot be within the same group. So you should choose a new one. Maybe you can move to group 3. So here, maybe move to that column. So right now we have one activity to ask you to review. What kind of activity? We have the actual discussion talking about the transmission delay and transmission delay to have the derivation for end-to-end delay. Therefore, we have this one. Self-reflection on actual discussions. Regarding the actual discussions, I will ask you to summarize the key concept related to them. And later, I just show you the possible content using the Padlet. So you should summarize the key concept. I mean, key concept you can have, right? And or maybe if you want to ask me to re-explain, sure, you can point out there. So if you know properly, sure, let me know. If no, then you just point out which one I should repeat, and so that you can understand properly. Well, so this time, so maybe this time, try to summarize. And also, even right now, you don't have the same group like the group last week. It doesn't matter. But later, I will ask you, even in the PowerPoint, I don't mention that one. But at least mention which group for you. For example, later, if you want to post the answer, for example, group 1, some of the members in group 1 mention group 1, student ID, right? Group 1 student ID name to have your answer there. All right. So before you have the answer, I let you have 3 minutes to check. And of course, feel free to discuss with your members this one. So I show you this first. All right, this one. While you have the hyperlink, you can share outline group. All right, so feel free to discuss, and later you should have your own key concept to key in on poll everywhere. Okay, go and check it. So you can feel free to have further discussion with your members. Here, this is the past records. I just ask you to check these, and feel free what kind of concept you have, and so you can mention. For this one, no. Later for poll everywhere, I will ask you to do that. This one, no. So feel free to have the discussion. If you still want to have the content, you can use this hyperlink online, right? Or maybe, okay, it doesn't matter, you just discuss directly. All right, so maybe you have your own answers. Your key concept you learned, or maybe which key concept you still don't know, you want to ask me to re-explain further. So let me get back to this one. So let me check. Okay, this one. In the future, I will mention your group. All right, so for members here, you should mention group 1 and your name, student ID, and group 2, group 3, group 4, group 5 to group 6. Even you don't have for the same group within the 3 weeks, doesn't matter. But you will mention your group. And so they know, okay, you should belong to one of the groups. All right, so check it, and let it have 2 minutes to key in. Your key concepts?
Is it for like everyone?
Yeah, everyone. And also mention your key concepts.
Key concepts and CSIE.
Yeah, and good.
In group.
Yeah.
No,
Each one you need to key in.
yeah, you should like type in your key concepts.
This one, it doesn't mean we have the attendance checking, no. I just ask you to have your key concepts. But before that one, I ask you to have your own group, right? And then ID, name, the key concepts. So in fact, the key test should be key concepts. None, that says you don't have any idea. So it is not so good. All right, so it doesn't mean none. You should mention something, right? Well, something like this, right? And network of a network, it is not the topic for the discussion. So if I check the answer correct or not, this one wrong. All right, this one, key concept, delay. All right, and currently determined by the transmission delay. So this guy mentioned we have the discussion about transmission delay. Well, the student here mentioned, oh, I have the key concept pipelining, not pipeline only, it's pipelining. Pipelining says we have many packets simultaneously. So we allow packet to be transmitted back to back. Back to back says transmitted consecutively so that first one finished, then we can start the second one and the other. So we have pipelining. Yeah, it's correct. Okay, pipeline, that's okay. Pipelining, which one correct? It should be pipelining. All right. It doesn't mean it's a pipeline, no. And we have packet transmission delay, that's correct. So the standard form should be this one. I'm a member of a group 3. My ID, possibly my name, and I have my key concept here. All right, that's correct. And this is the details you have. Okay, first packet, the time for the first packet should be obtained first. And then we will have the others. Why? The others we have the common gap. And the common gap will be obtained later. At least he noticed we have this kind of concept. In fact, if I use this one, we have the propagation delay. Based on propagation delay, we also have the pipelining so that we have the derivation for the delay. All right. So for the others, I go through quickly. All right. So why I ask you to do this? We have the discussion. It doesn't mean, okay, I don't care about that one. After the discussion, I get nothing. So none there, it's wrong. You should have your own concept obtain and bring home. All right, so this is my purpose. After the maybe some activity, I will ask you to have the reflection. So reflection says, oh, after the activity or after learning something, I should have something. So this is the process of reflection. All right, that's all. And this is the one of activities. For this activity, I will set 5 points to this one. All right, 5 points. And if you want to correct, sure, right now. If you have the chance to correct, or maybe if you want to key in more, sure, do it. Let it have 1 more minute. 5 points associated with the activity. Because you need to mention something. If you just have, for example, group, 1 point, ID, name 1, and key concept 3. And I will ask TA to share the 3 aspects. All right, so if you want to modify, or maybe you can have the duplicate answer. Or maybe not duplicate. To have the answer again, sure, you can do it. And in the future, we just pass on the system. So try to avoid any problem on the system, this system and Padlet. Okay, so let me check. If you still want to key in, raise your hands. Okay, then you have 1 more minute. 1 more minute later, then I will move on to the next one. Before you have the key, let me say something about this. Okay, maybe I cannot leave. All right, so let me move on. Even you don't finish it, I need to move on. And in the future, I will have the time control. So you should understand within the time period, you should finish the answering. And for Padlet, sometimes if you cannot finish it, I will that have the extended time. It doesn't mean within the classes. Perhaps I set it to, for example, that day, 4 p.m. Before 4 p.m., you need to finish your answer. All right, so for some of activity, perhaps I will extend the time to, for example, 4 p.m. Well, so let me get back to this one. Before I move on further, that's why I ask maybe all of you, but some of you have the answer here. First of all, let me point out the answer for Gao. For the current answer, because we don't consider propagation delay, so we just have the horizontal line, like this one. All right, so I should point out this one. If I set propagation delay to 0, this one incorrect, because we don't have the propagation delay, so we don't have the slant line like this. And as for the other, some of the answer is not correct, even we have the horizontal one. But finally, where we have the correct answers, you can refer to our stream video, and then I already have the answer, am I right? Okay, so I don't repeat the answer, the correct answer again, but I want to point out some, it is not correct. And as I remember, the other possible problems here, Actually, the other problem maybe currently I don't find it, but if we have the second case, because of a pipeline, we allow one packet to be transmitted. So even we have the second packet, currently maybe we have packet 1 being transmitted, but transmitted partially. So the second packet cannot start the transmission directly. All right, and then you should have time follow the principle, finish the packet, then we can have the next transmission. All right, so I mentioned this and saw that if something wrong, you need to correct. And in the future, if we have the possible time similar to this calculation, you just have the diagram, then I think you will have the correct answer. So that's why I ask you to practice first, and then you will have the experience to have the derivation for the other possible end-to-end delay. All right, so this is the idea I want to let you know. So let us continue to have the next discussion. So before I move on, about the concept I summarized, is it okay? All right, so actually everything's okay. Let me continue. Currently, we have the transmission, and actually we have the other possible phenomena if we have the packet transmission. Well, of course, some of you mentioned, oh, for the packets waiting there. So waiting there, we have queuing. And is it possible the packet going through the link, but finally it is dropped, or maybe it is lost? It's possible. So that's why we have the phenomena of packet queuing and packet loss. All right, so waiting queue, this is the packet queuing, and possibly the packet can be dropped or lost. All right, and of course, if we don't have the memory and cannot be processed properly, that packet will be dropped. All right. If you think, okay, we should have the extra processing, some of you mentioned, oh, should we have the buffer? Yes. If we don't have the buffer, maybe we have some problem like that. And in fact, for dropping, we may have the other reason so that the packet will be dropped. For example, the current packet is going through the radio link. Radio link even we transmit the packet properly, but finally going through the radio, the packet possibly will be dropped, or maybe even not dropped, but finally reach the destination. The destination cannot recover that packet, and then we think lost. All right, so we have for some reason, but I just mentioned we may have queuing. We have a loss. All right, so right now, let us get back to the forwarding. And forwarding, how to have the forwarding? We should have the routing algorithm to determine, all right, I want to have the packet transmission, for example, from here, maybe good 2, the table of good 2 to table of good 6. Then I need to determine the proper route to the table of good 6. How to determine that one? Maybe, okay, this time I have the routing algorithm to have this path. Or maybe I have the path going to that one first and then to good 6. So this is the action of routing algorithm. And routing algorithm can set how to go. And how to go, then we will set the local forwarding table. To have the algorithm first, then we will follow the decision of the algorithm to set the forwarding table. And right now, we forgot the story here and just have the forwarding table. All right, we just want to have the action to forward. So we have the story of the routing algorithm to set the forwarding table. Once we have the forwarding table, look at this. If we have the header, maybe we think we just check the 4 bits. If we have 4 bits, 0, 1, 1, 1, and 0, 1, 1, 1 here. So it says follow the forwarding table, which output link we should forward the packet. It should be output link 2. All right, so here, then we should go output link 2. So this is the forwarding. All right. Well, so we consider forwarding here. And after, maybe if we want to have the forwarding table, of course, we should have the routing algorithm. About routing, we will talk about routing in chapter 4 and 5. So right now, we don't want to let you know the details of our routing. But based on that one, we can have the forwarding. Why we want to have a forwarding? Because we need to store and then forward. And currently, we let you know the action of forwarding. All right, so about routing, actually, it's a different story. We should have some decision, and the decision actually we should have possibly to have the global decision. So that's why we should have the global action. Even how to implement later in chapter 4 and chapter 5, we can let you know routing. But I just let you know routing determine that one. Well, that is the possible routing based on packet switching. And right now, we want to draw your attention to this one. Only packet switching? In fact, no. Here we have internet, but for home network access, we can have a cable. Cable, something like we have some technique. Actually, it is not called, we have a packet switching. But the other one, it is DSL. So DSL, in fact, we pass on phone. Phone, we have one possible switching. It is circuit switching. Because we want to have a phone call, we should have the setting for the line. So we have the line, it is circuit here. We have circuit switching. Well, so we want to mention, in fact, only packet switching? No, actually, we still have the other solution, circuit switching. Well, so we just want to mention circuit switching here. Well, alternative to packet switching, it should be circuit switching. And circuit switching, the end-to-end resources will be allocated or reserved for the call. Because of a voice, so we call it call. And the call, and then we have the reserved resources. Therefore, you see, we have the current routers, and we have a link here, right? And we have the link so that the link won't be shared. So we have the dedicated resources, no sharing. We just want to mention the feature of circuit switching, no sharing. All right, and no sharing. And where we have the switching, traditional telephone networks. All right, so DSL, possibly we have the telephone network, and so that we can have this kind of switching. This kind of switching, we don't have sharing. For example, oh, you have the resources we don't want to share. And then, if you don't want to use it, then the resources will be idle there. Possibly, we will have an idle for the resources, so we don't like that one. So that's why we prefer packet switching rather than circuit switching. So we will have some comparison. Comparison later, but that you have the possible way to implement circuit switching. To have the permanent circuits, to have the permanent channel, how to have it? We can have frequency division multiplexing. So we have FDM, you know, you knew this already. So we can have the channel based on frequency, right? Here we have 4 channel or 4 circuits. And we may have the others, time, based on time, first time slot, second time slot, fourth time slot, then we have the possible channels, and so they still can have the circuits or channel. So we can have TDM and FDM to have the implementation for circuit switching. And right now, if we have 4 channels based on FDM or TDM, and right now 4 occupied. How about if we have the other customer requesting the channel? 4 occupied. And if we have the coming request. For the coming request, if we have the buffer, that's fine. Okay, you wait there in the queue. If we don't have the buffer, then we will have the loss for that packet, right? So previously we mentioned loss. If we don't have the buffer here, then we have the limited resources, so that we will have loss for packet transmission. All right, and this one we just want to mention. Well, if we have a packet switching, circuit switching, and then we want to pass on the calculation. The calculation here, maybe you should have some background about probability theory. But it doesn't matter. We just have the simple concept. You can use Google to find some possible idea that you have for the calculation. And why we want to have the concept of a probability, this one. We have the link, and also we have active 10%. Inactive, it should be 90%. So actually this one related to probability theory, this one. So maybe let me mention it directly. Sometimes the pen cannot work properly. So we have a probability of 0.1, and we have the other probability inactive 0.9. And right now we want to ask you if we have a circuit switching. Circuit switching allowed to have here maybe 10. At most 10 users. And right now, how about packet switching? Right now we have 35 users. Based on the given phenomenon, we have 0.1 activity, maybe 0.1 active portion, and 0.9 inactive. So we may have the probability, even we have 35 users, greater than 10 active users. So what is the probability? Based on calculation, you can try to have for the calculation. The calculation is still lower than the current value. All right. And how to have for the value? It's easy. Well, we have a problem here, right? You can ask ChatGPT to have for the calculation. Is it correct to have for this answer? You can try to check it. This time, I think it's a good option to ask ChatGPT to have the calculation. If you want to know the detail, you can ask ChatGPT what's the concept you use to have the derivation for this kind of probability. All right, so for this one, this time I ask you to ask ChatGPT to have the calculation. So first question, you can try to ask ChatGPT how we have the calculation, right? And I try to ask you the second question at this moment. What happens if we have the user more than 35? This one asks you, previously if we have the current calculation greater than 10, we have this probability. And right now, here, I ask you to consider the second question. Currently, if I have 100 users, what happens for the calculation? Smaller value or greater value? Then you have 1 minute to have a discussion with your neighbors, and later I will ask you your answer. I mean the calculation probability less than this one. Right now, if we change 35 to 100, and then sorry, let me check. So you can discuss with your neighbor. Let me correct the problem here. So wait a moment. So here.
What probability is that? What probability? Like
It doesn't mean I ask you to have the exact calculation. I just ask you what happens here. It says what happened to the current probability if we change 35 to 100.
is it packet loss probability or what probability?
No packet loss. It just asks you the probability greater than 10.
Probability,
10 users are active.
probability of what? Like
Here, this probability. The current probability says, given 100 users, what is the probability? When users are active, the number is greater than 10.
它的几率是什么
10个以上的使用者是 active 的。
哦 active users 哦好 OK。
So, this one, well, right now, any possible answer from some of you? We have the change 35 to the current setting 100, and ask you to have, in fact, ask you to have the comparison. If you can have the answer or you expect the answer will be greater than the current value or lower than the current value. Which one you guess? Currently, I mentioned which one you guess. Larger or smaller? Lower? You think lower? And any other answer? Higher. One higher, maybe right now one higher. All right, so higher or lower, right now try to have the key points. Active probability is 0.1. All right, given 35 users, then what is the probability? And given the user is 100, and then what is the probability? So right now, same. You have the ChatGPT, right? Try to set this one and then find the answer. And right now, I try to directly have the answer using ChatGPT. Maybe 2 minutes to check. Even you don't know how to have the calculation, even the answer from ChatGPT, it is not so correct. But try to rely on ChatGPT to directly have the answer.
So it is saying that with 35 users in total, with 10 active at the same time, what's the unit of 0.0?
No unit. It's the probability. It's the probability.
Like within a second, like there's 0.0004%. That
Not percent. It's a value. It's just a probability. So try to check with ChatGPT and later let me know your answer from ChatGPT. Or maybe right now you don't have the answer, it doesn't matter, but I ask you to try. So let me check one by one. Any possible answer? Good one.
0.04%.
I mean, if we have the value comparison, original one and the later one we should have a larger value or smaller value? Based on ChatGPT.
I don't understand what the what is asking. So.
I didn't know in Chinese.
Skip.
I didn't have know in Chinese directly. 我们有35和100的设定，其他都没有变。请问一下，后来的结果算出来的几率会比较大还比较小？
我还在理解题目，所以先。
Okay, so you don't have it. So anyone have the result from ChatGPT? Larger. Your value from ChatGPT is larger?
Yeah. 42%.
Okay, good. So one possible answer from good one, it should be larger. And let me check good 2. Oh, sorry, good 2 previously you get, it should be larger. So currently after checking with the ChatGPT, larger or smaller?
I think it is really larger.
Really larger after checking.
Yeah.
Okay, really larger. And let me check with, okay, maybe I skip good. So let me check with good 4. Good 4. The possible value after checking with the ChatGPT, smaller?
Larger.
Larger, right? Okay, good. In fact, it is larger. As for why, you can check with ChatGPT further. You can check with ChatGPT further, and also you can ask ChatGPT what is the principle behind the calculation, and then you will know the principle to support the calculation. But this one beyond our scope, so that's why I ask you to check with ChatGPT. However, we still have the possible example related to probability. So if possible, you can check with ChatGPT further. So this time, I ask you to learn from ChatGPT for this possible example. All right, that's all. Before we continue, let us take a break. Well, let me check any possible questions. Or maybe later you can mention, and so that I will explain. All right, that's it. Let us take a 10-minute break. Okay, take a rest.